friends. Lori Ashcraft here. I'm your host for another episode of VIVA La Evolution, produced by Recovery and Resilience Solutions, which is a training and consulting branch of Crestwood Behavioral Health. And today I am so delighted to introduce you to some of the work we've done in Singapore over the years. We started going there, I would say, around 2010, in and out. And then around 2015, we were asked to really double down and help Singapore create a peer workforce. And so we went back and forth, and they came back and forth. And this culminated in, I think, 6 peers coming to the States to an INAPS conference in 2018. And this was a wonderful year for INAPS. Sally Zinman was there. It was just a great conference. And the Singapore peers did a presentation there that was so heartwarming, especially for Chris and I, because they call us their mother and father of peer support in Singapore. So anyway, that's kind of fun. But that year, we all got little candles, little like tea light candles. And as kind of a ritual to lock in our commitment to peer support and to each other, we played a song about lighting each other's candles. And we did that. We lit a few candles, and those candles lit other candles and others, until all 200 people were standing together in the room with a lit candle. It was just an amazing moment. And I'm bringing that up because you'll see that the Singapore peers took that ritual back to Singapore, and you'll see in a little video we're going to show you, you'll see how they are lighting candles. So anyway, very heartwarming. They went back to Singapore with a commitment to develop a peer workforce, and to take it upon themselves to not wait for other people to do it for them, but to take a lead in it. So in this episode, I want you to listen closely to the level of commitment expressed by Deb, and she speaks for a lot of peers in Singapore, and also to think about the amazing work they've done to bring other organizations together to support them. And think about the humility and the openness of those organizations to work with the peers, to support them, and to use them as experts, to turn to them as an expert voice when they need to know about peer work. That takes a level of humility and a level of maturity that is sometimes lacking in other places. So you'll need to listen closely because Deb has a Singaporean accent, and your ears probably aren't used to that, so pay close attention to what she's saying. And yeah, I think that's all I need to tell you. So let's take a listen to Deb, and Chris is joining us. So you'll have a 3-way conversation between the 3 of us. Here we go. Here comes Singapore. Singapore went from being a third world nation to a first world nation in approximately 30 years. I think that says a lot for the commitment of the Singaporean people for whatever they take on. And peer support was no exception. They took it on with the same enthusiasm. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Deb, thank you for joining us. And I'm so glad you could join us, Chris. Chris and I think I could call us the resilience pioneers for Singapore. So, Chris, let's talk a little, before we listen to Deb catch us up on all the wonderful things she's doing, let's talk just a little bit about our experience of going to Singapore and when that started and kind of what that was like.
Well, gee, Laura, I think it was like in 2012. I'm just kind of
I think so too.
approximating.
Yeah.
And the first thing I remember is we had quite the adventure on the subway, the train, the metro. I think we got lost
Oh,
on the way to the classroom.
at least,
But
yes.
yeah, I think we were invited there by Sally, um,
Sally Teo.
who was over the Caregiver Alliance at that time.
Yeah.
And we did I don't know, a 2-day class on peer support overview.
Mhm.
And in that particular class, a lot of folks attended. I don't think Deb was there, but some of the later folks that went through the peer support training with us
Mhm.
were
Mhm.
there. And actually, somebody from National Council of Social Services
Mhm. They were our
came.
main contact and
Yes,
funding source. Yeah.
yeah,
It was so
and
wonderful working with those folks. They were
it
just lovely.
was.
And then we went back. What are you thinking? You went back maybe 7. You and I went back a couple times.
Well,
And
I think, Lord, before we went back, we actually hosted Tina Hung
yeah,
and a number of other folks that were for NCSS,
yeah, yeah.
and someone that came, I think, on behalf of
The hospitals.
the hospital. Yeah,
Yeah,
IMH would be Frank,
yeah.
and also Anglican. I can't think of it.
Oh,
Not
right.
Anglican.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Anglican.
So it was a nice
And
group of folks that came. And
yes, yes,
by the end of it, we just knew we wanted to work together.
yes.
And that was the beginning of you and me going back and forth. And
Yeah.
and then you went back and forth a lot without me too.
I think I was there overall 7 times.
I do too. Yeah.
And then I think twice because of COVID outbreak, we did two batches. We call them, instead of cohorts in Singapore, they call them batches.
Yeah.
And Deb just reminded me earlier that it was 9 batches altogether.
Oh my gosh.
And two
Yeah.
two were online because of COVID.
Yeah.
And the very last one, I went back and actually Patty came and was a keynote. Patty
Right. Patty
Bloom was the
Blum,
keynote speaker. Yeah,
our Crestwood boss,
yeah,
went back with you. Yeah, and she was the keynote speaker, right?
he
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been just a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And I think that brings us to you, Deb. Uh, well, before we help me out here, how many people do you think went through peer support training in Singapore with us, Chris? 7
Uh,
batches. So
Deb might have the exact number. I can just
it doesn't have to
approximate.
be exact, just an
Got
estimate.
the magic number with me, the
Okay.
statistics.
Deb has it.
So there is a total of 9 batches that are trained and a total of 161 certified peer support specialists
So
who
161
graduated.
people went through training?
There could be more than that, but 161 are certified, completed the training and the practicum.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because
They
if you remember,
graduated. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
if you remember, Lori, we actually launched our internship program in Singapore, the whole
Mhm.
process.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, there it's called the practicum, and we have the Peer Employment Learning Center,
yeah,
that we
yeah,
use in California.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so 160. How many was it, Deb?
161.
161 actually went through the whole
The
practicum.
whole thing. Yeah,
More
yeah,
took the 2-week class, but yeah,
yeah,
161 finished the 100-hour
yeah,
practicum.
yeah. Okay, so with that as a backdrop, let's hear where Deb has taken things from there. But Deb, before you get started with that, tell us a little bit about your own personal recovery story. I ask all our guests to do this, so I think that's our PowerPoint. That's our superpower, is our story. So, and just people aren't going to be used to your accent, so try to speak slowly or they won't be able to catch up with you.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So my recovery story is a pretty long one. I believe that my mental health condition is genetic because it runs in my paternal family. And I recall that my symptoms started at a tender age of 8 years old when I started having suicide ideation. So thankfully, God has preserved my life as I struggled through my childhood, teenage years, and even into adulthood, experiencing extreme highs and lows, yet was being undiagnosed for more than 2 decades. It was only when I suffered postnatal depression and burnout from work that I eventually sought medical intervention and was prescribed psychiatric medication to manage my bipolar condition. So the pivotal moment in my recovery journey was when I enrolled into peer support specialist training in year 2017 and met my trainer, Chris Martin, who's right here. And Laurie was also around at that time. She came to Singapore and I met her. And Chris is such an amazing evidence of recovery and resilience. That encounter with him and attending the training has truly changed my life beyond what I could ever imagine. So I found the true meaning and purpose in my life, which is to model mental health recovery and resilience, to inspire hope to many others that recovery is truly possible.
Yeah.
So I'm currently at a very good place in my recovery, having sustained my wellness consistently for over 7 years. I'm thriving in my work as a senior executive at a medical university in Singapore, where I'm also appointed as a peer staff supporter. So apart from my full-time job, I'm an active mental health advocate, and I contribute actively in the mental health sector as a local assistant trainer of peer support specialist training, which Chris and Laurie has started in Singapore. So I try my best to nurture a community of peer support specialists. We call it CPSS, which has started. And I also work closely with National Council of Social Service on peer support initiatives. So this is a very brief version of my recovery story.
Yeah, that's lovely. So just to recount, so you're working as a, what's your job title?
Senior executive is an administrative role in an IT department.
Okay, so senior executive in an IT department. So that's your day job.
Right.
And then you also do peer support. And you're the it sounds like you're the leader of the community of peer support specialists and have been very active and effective in keeping a strong group of peers connected there and supported. Yes.
No more. If you remember, we actually brought Deb, Desmond, Kendra.
INAPS.
Yes.
Remember? INAPS.
To INAPS.
Oh,
And
right.
guess what?
Yes.
So
yes.
the 6 of them got inspired, and Deb and the team go back and they create something similar, but maybe in many ways much more unique in some ways.
Yes.
And so we're going to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that coming to INAPS, which is now called just NAPS, is what kicked that whole thing off. How wonderful is that? Yeah. Yeah. So you went back after that, and that's when you started pulling together the community of peer support specialists. I love the name, by the way, community of peer support. I haven't heard anything in the States use the word community, and it's such an important word in everything that we do. Yeah.
So Deb, can you kind of tell our viewers how and why did you and the peer support specialists in Singapore form this professional association, CPSS?
Yeah.
Why did you do it, and how did you do it?
Okay, sure. So initially, we were just a group of graduates. So back then, there was just 3 batches from the National Council of Social Service Peer Support Specialist Program. So we actually gathered to form a community of practice, and that was in December 2018. And then, so I had this idea, because I wanted to submit a workshop proposal for a global conference on Together Against Stigma. That was in 2019. So I felt that we need to formalize our community of practice. So I initiated to develop our vision, mission, and core values. Then we decided to name our community as CPSS, since we are all certified peer support specialists. So that's how it all began.
You know, isn't that interesting? I think that happens a lot when we have a vision out there, and you had a vision of presenting at the global conference. But to be able to do that, you had to do some groundwork and pull yourselves together a little bit. So wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Lori, in Singapore, like America, but Singapore, they have like the nurses have their association, the social workers have their association, counselors, and so forth. So I
Yeah.
was really inspired when Deb and the other peer support specialists put this group together.
Yes, it is inspiring. Yeah. And it's continuous. So how long ago was that, Deb, that you began the association, your community?
Okay, so we kind of like formalized it around April 2019. So we had we crafted our vision, which is to establish, practice, and advance peer support in Singapore.
Oh,
And then
wonderful. I love that. And this was in 2018, did you say?
2019.
2019. Okay.
Mm,
So that's when
yes,
it all started. Yeah.
yes. And then we also have our vision, which is as a community of certified peer support specialists, we are dedicated to modeling recovery, resilience, and hope for all. And then we are professionally trained to provide support to persons with mental health challenges through leveraging on our lived experiences. And we are committed to advocating for the integration of peer support discipline into our nation's mental health services across sectors, including throughout healthcare and community systems. And we are also constantly striving to develop ourselves both personally and professionally in recovery-oriented practices and peer support principles.
So is what you just said, was that your vision?
That's our vision and our mission.
Okay, vision and mission. Yeah. That was
Yes.
great. That was great. You know, if you could send me that, I'll put it in the blog so people can read it. It's
Sure.
really so inspiring. I don't want them to miss it. So,
And we have
yeah.
our core values as well. I'll send that to you. It's on our website.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
So, Deb, what would you say have been the key accomplishments, if you were going to identify those, of CPSS over the last few years you guys been in association?
Okay, so firstly, we published a book entitled Holding the Hope. So I am wearing this necklace here with can you see the pendant hope hanging on my neck? Yeah, so this is a phrase that that really left an impression in my heart when I went through the peer support specialist
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
So that's the title of our book, which is a compilation of recovery and resilience stories written by the peer support specialists. And this book was actually included in a conference pack at the 9th edition of Global Conference on Together Against Stigma in October 2019, where Singapore is the first Southeast Asian country to host it.
Ah, how wonderful. So Singapore was the first Asian nation to host this global conference. And
Right.
so your book is published? The book you folks wrote is published?
Yes, we
Okay.
printed out, many copies with funding from National Council of Social Service, and then after that we had the e-version as well, which is uploaded on our website.
So
And
if people listening wanted to buy your book or listen to your book, how would they do that?
they can access the electronic version at our website, and if they want to buy and even print more copies, they can contact me directly.
Oh, how generous.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we bought some. They're amazing. Yeah.
So so anyone can, so let's include your website, how to get to your website, because people are going to want to do that to see the electronic version.
Sure.
Yeah, great.
So
And
that
Lori,
was yes.
Go
So
ahead.
that
Sorry.
was I was talking about the conference, right? So we participated in the Together Against Stigma International Conference on 5th of October 2019 by presenting a CPSS workshop on hearing it from peer support specialists about recovery. So I introduced CPSS, shared my recovery story, and we also had a panel dialogue session to discuss about the value of peer support. So
Oh,
that was
good.
that was at a conference. And then subsequently, every year, we had our presence in different platforms. So for instance, we actually presented a peer support works webinar on 10th of October 2020, which was hosted by Institute of Mental Health in
Uh-huh.
support of World Mental Health Day. So that was
Oh,
in
uh-huh.
2020. And
So,
then
so on
subsequent,
World
yes,
Mental Health Day, you even had a voice. That's a
yes.
big deal.
So that was like our commitment, to do something on a yearly basis, even though we were all, pretty busy. Then subsequently in year 2021, we presented, that was where, and I think that was during COVID period, So
Yeah.
we presented a virtual engagement session on peer support works. Yeah, and at the
Ah,
Singapore Mental Health Conference. That was
huh,
on
huh.
24th of August. And that year itself was we produced another piece of work, with the involvement of Chris Martin. So we actually developed a code of ethics for peer support practice,
Ah,
which was unveiled during our Singapore Peer Supporters Day celebration on the 1st of October 2021. So that
uh-huh.
inspiration, the Singapore Peer Supporters Day, we were inspired, by I think Chris, you brought us to the candlelight visual when we attended the next conference.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now we wanted to have our own Singapore edition. So we had it. And then so for the past year, 2022, and this year, 2023, we are actively involved in focus group discussions conducted by National Council of Social Service to enhance the content of the peer support specialist training. So
Uh-huh.
that's our accomplishment so far.
Yeah,
And
wonderful.
Deb, just so we understand, so the CPSS actually formulated the national code of ethics for peer support specialists in the country. Is that correct?
We call it our CPSS version.
Okay.
CPSS
Okay.
version. So
Yeah.
yes.
So it hasn't been adopted nationally, but it's out there for people to use and borrow.
Yes, it's
That's
published
what I
on
said.
our website as well. So it's
Yeah.
produced by the peer support specialists who graduated from the course. So we came together and we co-produced it with mental health professionals and a couple of head of agencies as well. And of course, Chris, you proofread it and then you gave your inputs as well. And we did
I
research.
probably had Lori help me. I probably had that too. Deb, one of the things that I saw Lori, Deb, and I saw the CPSS team do, the association and the leadership team with Deb, is oftentimes when NCSS, the National Social Services, has questions about peer support or the discipline, or even IMH, they'll often contact CPSS. So in a
Ah,
way, they're kind of like the resident expert,
yes,
oftentimes.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And who
That's
better
right.
to be the expert, Um, and let's just tip our hat to those agencies that do that are
Yes.
smart enough to know who their teachers are in this regard. I mean, um, oftentimes organizations don't have the humility to do that. They want to be the ones who know everything and to tell other people what to do. So for your agencies to come to you, Deborah, and ask you for advice and input, I think that says so much for them.
Yes.
Their ability to know and to honor what you know and to ask you to help them. That's so beautiful. It
Yeah,
just
so
speaks
thankful for
to,
that, really, really. We
yeah,
don't take that for granted, that they are involving us in to co-produce and to shape this mental health landscape together, that we
yeah,
can have a voice in that.
yes, yes. Both of you, all of you, wonderful work together.
Thanks, Laurie.
So Deb, would you say that in addition to the ethics standard that you folks compiled and put together, and also kind of like being a support line for some of the social agencies, IMH and National Social Services when they have questions, what are some other ways that CPSS promotes peer support within the mental health system in Singapore? How have you guys been able to move peer support forward?
Okay, so at the moment, we are actually collaborating with a social service agency to provide peer support services to their members. So we have actually submitted a grant application around end October this year. And the agency is right now still addressing National Council of Social Services queries. So we are hoping for a favorable outcome to get the funding, because funding is so important, right? So
Wow.
that's something that is in the pipeline at the moment. And then apart from that, I would say that advocacy on mental health recovery by role modeling and sharing our recovery stories is something that is very important and close to our heart, because many people still view mental health condition as a debilitating illness, and the stigma is still around. So that is something that we are contributing, and at different platforms, and we are being engaged as speakers in even caregivers alliance classes, and through media platform and all, and even in this year's Singapore Mental Health Conference as well. One of my leadership team members, Zhe he was invited, at to be a in a dialogue session. So besides that, facilitating peer support group sessions to share our wellness tips and healthy coping mechanisms with persons in recovery, that's something that we are thinking of doing, when with proper planning, in the year ahead. And also to organize open dialogue session to address queries relating to mental health recovery. Yeah, so these are some of the things that I have thought of.
Wow, this is exciting. It's things
Yeah.
I didn't even know, Deb. That's very exciting.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like you're kind of carving out your future with some of those fundings. And I'm very excited about your funding. I hope you get that. That would be a real boost for your efforts. Yeah.
It would
Yes,
put you kind of in a place of a peer-run organization in some ways, right?
yes, that's right.
I don't know if Lori or I can help in any way, but if you ever need any letters of support, we'll be glad to do them and collect others for you if you need
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much for offering that.
Yeah. Well, Deb, it's been wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much for being willing to sit down with us for a few minutes and catch us up on all the amazing things that are happening in Singapore,
It's
especially
my
from
pleasure.
yeah. And thank
Yes,
you
my
for all that you're
pleasure.
doing. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. I feel that it is like a time of accountability to my father and mother of peer support who brought the movement to Singapore. Hopefully I have not let you down, Chris, when you kind of like uh, told me to just gather everybody, gather the flock, and get together and stay strong and bring this movement forward. Yeah.
I think I remember us having that talk when you visited us here at the INAPS conference, to just because you saw all these amazing things and you were thinking, how can we do this? And I remember
Yes.
Chris and I just saying, just stick together and find ways, and we'll help you if we can. I don't think you needed much help from us. You moved
No,
ahead
you
quite
you, you
well.
folks are an inspiring beacon for
Yes.
us and many of the other peers across the country that we share this with. And
Yeah.
so I'm excited for them to see this interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am too, and I certainly need to, continue this connection with you because we can't do it on our own. We need the guidance, that we need to consult you on our direction and stuff like that. So I'm really grateful for that mentorship, and that covering from both of you.
Well, we're happy to do that, and I think we'll probably need more consultation from you than you
Yes.
from us.
Learning from you.
Okay,
Absolutely.
well, I know it's late on everybody's place, so let's make it a day, and thank you again. And thank you, Chris. And yeah, okay. We'll
Thank you,
Thank
sign
you,
off
folks.
Chris
for
and
now.
Laurie. Thank you. Thank you, Laurie, for the invitation, and Chris.
Yeah.
These are all folks that graduated from our classes.
Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So there you have it. I hope you were as moved and inspired by Deb and her peers and what they've done in Singapore as I've been. They've done an amazing job. That whole part she explained about with the stigma conferences, the book they've written, and I'm going to put all of this in the blog. So read the blog as always, and if you get a chance, go to their website and see what they've been able to put together. So thanks for joining us. It's been wonderful to spend a little time with you, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.